Thanks for joining us. We're really glad you did. This is the Spinosaurus painted and with an environment created. There's a lot of awesome hints and tricks in this one, so let's get into it. For this project, we'll be using some titanium white, yellow ochre and lamp black, all in acrylic colour. These will be for sealing our friend and colouring the environment. Some brushes, and this is the signature set, a tear-off paper palette and a palette knife, and this is the number 11. For painting Spiny, we'll be using turquoise, phthalo blue, titanium white, yellow ochre and Payne's grey, professional series oil paint. And we'll also need some paper towels. For the environment, we'll need some beige polymer clay, some light moulding paste and some sculpture tools. We'll also need some sticks, and I got these from my garden. The first step is to seal our friend. So we mix a beige from titanium white and yellow ochre in the acrylic. Make sure the whole sculpture is covered in a consistent coat. It's best applied with a medium flat brush. While this is wet, mix a touch of black into the beige mix and paint this into the areas of shadow, on the body under the forelimbs and rear legs. Paint black onto the head and sail and take this colour 3/4 of the way down it. Although this will be covered by a top coat, it allows us to apply the top coat thinly in those areas and it shows as subtly darker. Allow this to dry. While this is drying, we can mix up the oil paint for the top coat. Oil paints are not commonly thought of as a paint for sculpture, but the ability they have to blend makes them ideal. We thought because we are depicting an animal that was thought to have spent much of its life in the water, we would choose aquatic sort of colours. And the colours are as follows. The darkest blue is straight phthalo blue. Dark blue is 1 part phthalo blue plus 1 part medium white. The mid blue is 1 part phthalo blue and 2 parts titanium. The lightest blue is 1 part phthalo blue and 3 parts titanium white. We'll also be mixing a dark aqua made of 2 parts of turquoise and 1 part of phthalo. A mid aqua, which is 1 part turquoise, 1 part phthalo blue and 1 part titanium white. The last colour is a beige and it's made from titanium white with a touch of yellow ochre. To begin, we lay a dark band of aqua across the animal from the tail to the head and under the chin. We then laid aqua down the leg and blended into the lighter aqua into the lower portions of the limbs. Repeat this on the other side of our friend. Next, we laid the lightest blue on top of and adjacent to the dark aqua we just laid down. Leave a millimetre of free space between colours. Take this colour up to the neck. Again, repeat this on the other side. The medium blue is laid onto the back legs. The next colour is the mid blue, and lay this across the top adjacent to the lightest blue we just laid down, and repeat this on the other side. The darkest blue can then be laid into the previous blue. This colour can be taken 3/4 of the way up the sail on both sides. This blue can be laid into the neck at the back of the head and down the back of the legs. These colours can now be blended into each other. Use a small flat and hold the brush gently and bring the colours into each other. Keep a paper towel beside you and continually keep wiping off the excess paint. Do this with each band of colour until the colours transition smoothly. A light beige is then painted onto the underside of our friend. We then paint the head in with mid blue. Because the head is very dark, we add just a little paint using the dry brush method. To do this, charge the brush with paint and wipe off the excess onto a paper towel. We then gently drag the brush over the surface so that only the risen parts of the sculpture pick up paint. Now that the coat is all blended, we can add some dark spots over the body. Add dabs of the dark blue colour sporadically over the aqua and gently soften them. We then add some blue spots onto the Payne's grey on the sail. The eyes can be painted in with green, and the hollows of the face can then be dry brushed with crimson. The teeth are then carefully painted in with white. The top of the sail is painted in with Payne's grey and blended into the blue beneath it. We initially painted the bottom of our dinosaur a light cream mixed from titanium white and a touch of yellow ochre, but we all felt it was a bit light, so we added some more yellow ochre to the mix to darken it a bit and then laid it over the lighter cream. At this stage, the colouring looks a bit too consistent to look natural, so we add some mid-blue spots and blend them into the underlying colour. Then do the same with some aqua spots. The last painting step for Spiny is the pads on the bottom of the feet. These are dry brushed in with crimson. Apparently, one of Spinosaurus' main food sources was Onchopristis, so we decided to create one for our environment. We create this from polymer clay and create it directly on the plate. Onchopristis was very similar to modern day sawfishes, only this guy grew to 33 feet long. So fashion a flattened out long teardrop shape and add 4 triangular side fins, then 2 dorsal fins and the tail fin. The teeth in the saw can be created with a small angled loop tool. Create the eyes by creating hollows for the orbital, then pop a small ball in. Press it with the ball tool, then add another ball into that hollow and press it flat. Once it's finished, bake it for 30 minutes at 130 degrees. The Onchopristis will be a little stuck on the plate, but if you gently slide a knife under it when it is cool, it should just pop off the surface of the plate. We can then paint it black. Then add some titanium white and a touch of phthalo blue and dry brush this blue-grey onto our friend. Because we want to suggest our dinosaur is swimming underwater, we need to create a surface that looks like the bottom of a sandy riverbed. A tub of light moulding paste is poured onto a tear-off paper palette, and a touch of yellow ochre and titanium white acrylic paint is added, and they are thoroughly mixed. Moulding paste and acrylic paint are compatible as they are both acrylic. Disperse this over the base with that palette knife and make it as smooth as you can. Next, we have to modify an old small flat Taclon by cutting the corners off each side like this, so that it is triangular shaped. This can then be dragged across the moulding paste. When this is done, we drag it in wavy lines, For more realism, don't make the lines too consistent. The last embellishment is some sticks that we gathered, placed onto the base to suggest large logs on the riverbed. And voila!